Hi guys, Clueless Crafts here, and I'm back again for another easy clay animal tutorial. So let's get right on into it. And these are roughly all the pieces that you'll need. Starting off with the body, I'm taking the biggest ball of gray and I'm rolling it out slightly into an oval shape. Then with the smaller ball of white, I'm flattening that out with my roller and smoothing on to the belly. And still using the roller, I'm using that to blend all the edges and make sure it's nice and smooth looking. With the tummy done, it's now time for the limbs. And that means I need my shark case. Oh, hello. Fancy meeting you here. Anyway, I'm starting off with the feet by just making 2 indents for the toes. Then for the arms, I'm rolling it into a teardrop shape and putting in 2 indents for the hands. Now before we add the limbs to the body, I wanted to add a leaf that the koala bear would be holding. So I'm just taking a small ball of green and rolling it into a teardrop shape, putting an indent in the bigger end, so then when I flatten it out on my roller, it'll look like a heart shape. Then it's just time to make the indents for the leaf veins and carefully peel it off and place it on the stomach. And now the legs and arms can go on, and we're ready to move on to the head. I'm slightly flattening out the ball so it's a bit easier to work with. Then I'm adding in indents for eyes and a bigger indent for the nose. And I'm making sure to drag the nose indent up so the nose doesn't stick out too much. Then with a ball of black clay, just rolling that into another teardrop shape and placing directly into the indent we just made. And same for the eyes. Now for the koala's ears, I'm just taking 1 ball of gray, smacking it flat, and then blending out all the edges. I'm doing the same with the smaller ball of white clay, and I'm squishing those 2 together and flattening with a roller to make sure they're blended. I'm slightly squishing the circle so it's more of an oval shape, and then I'm cutting it in half. And before placing on the head, I'm slightly curving the ear so that it'll fit better along the head shape. You can see the difference between the 2 here. Then just place the ears on either side of the head in the middle of the eyes. And now all that's left to do is put the head on the body. I slightly trimmed up the body so the head would fit better, and then it's into the oven and your koala bear is done. Next up we have a swan, which was a suggestion from this viewer. Now there's not much to the swan as you only need 5 pieces, so hopefully it'll be easy to follow. Starting out with the biggest ball for the body, and I'm starting by rolling out one side of it as that will be the neck. I'm making sure to leave a ball at the end of it so there's enough clay for the head. Once you're happy with your Coca-Cola bottle shape, we're going to be making the tail on the bigger end of the swan. So I'm just pinching that end of the ball between my fingers to make a cone shape. Now it doesn't look like much now, but if you bend the neck up and down, you got your swan structure. Now for the wings. So I'm taking a smaller ball of white clay and this is going to be squished into a flat teardrop shape. Once you have the basic shape, I'm going in with a silicone tool and adding a lot of feather texture. I'm also making sure to make the edges more rough and feathery looking just by pushing in with the tip of my sculpting tool. And I'm doing the same for the other side. And you can also use your finger to kind of smooth out the texture so it looks a bit better. Now it's just indents for eyes, and we're moving on to the swan's beak. I'm rolling out a small cone of orange and a dot of black. And now this was way too small, so I decided to make one slightly bigger, and you can see the size difference between the 2. Definitely prefer the bigger one. Filling in the eyes with black clay, and it's time to attach the wings now with a little bit of liquid Sculpey. I just decided to add some last minute texture on the back of the swan, and then it's ready for the oven. This one was super easy to make, and I just loved how it turned out. Next up, a bearded dragon, thanks to the suggestion from this viewer. We'll start off with the biggest piece of clay for the body, so I'm rolling that out into a cylinder, and I'm deciding which end is going to be the head and the tail. So this is going to be the head end, so I'm rolling out the opposite end for the tail. Once I got a nice elongated shape, I'm slightly squishing the body in so it creates a more of a diamond shape. Then it's time for the legs. These are pretty simple, just rolling out balls into teardrop shapes, and I'm adding a little bit of toe texture with the silicone tool. Now I didn't end up liking how the toes turned out, especially after working with the clay a lot, so I did end up making better toes near the end. Anyway, once all the legs are done, I'm attaching them to the body and blending it to the body with the silicone tool. Moving on to the head, I'm taking a ball of clay and I'm pressing it against this big ballpoint tool to kind of make an indent in it. If you don't have this tool, you can also use your knuckle, which works just as well. Now once you have your shape, it's time to make the texture on the end. I first started trying to cut into it, but I figured that'd take too long, so I just took it off the tool and used a smaller ballpoint tool and kind of just flicked up all the edges to make them nice and thin. And now it's time to add the mouth for the bearded dragon, and I thought I'd give it a little smile too. Some indents for eyes, then it's time to attach the head to the body with some liquid Sculpey. Then just fill in those eyes with black clay. Now our bearded dragon is almost done, just time to add a little bit of curve to the tail. And I noticed that a lot of bearded dragons have this texture on them, so I decided to replicate that with some little bumps of orange all over the top of the body. This took a bit of time, but I think it's definitely worth it. And once you have all the dots in, I'm just patting it down, giving it a little head pet, making sure it's all secure. And now here's when I'm fixing the toes. So I'm slightly flattening out the bottom and then just cutting in 4 toes on each foot. And I think this looks a lot better. And once you have all your toes cut, it's time to go into the oven and your bearded dragon is complete. Finally, we have our butterfly, which was decided by popular vote from this poll. Before we get to the wings, I'm starting out with the butterfly's body. So for the head, it's just a small ball of black clay. And moving on to the thorax, we're taking a slightly larger ball and rolling that out into a flat cylinder. And once you're happy with that, we're just attaching that to the head. Final part of the butterfly body is the abdomen. So we're rolling that out into a cone shape. And it'll look like this. Oh, but upside down. There we go. Alright, and then we'll attach that to the thorax. And finally rolling out 2 little balls of black clay for the antenna. We won't attach them yet as we'll save that for the end, but let's move on to the wings. I decided the easiest way to make the wings would be to roll out a ball of whatever color clay you want and create a template. This way you'll ensure both sides are the same and you get the shape you want. I tried doing it each wing separately, but it was a fail and I won't bother showing that because it was just too much. Once you have your shape cut out, just make sure you smooth out all the edges and it's time for the second wing. Now with both wings made, I'm going to slightly dip the center with my ruler. This will make it easier to attach it to the body later. And then it's time for these to go into the oven for 10 minutes. Just to slightly pre-bake them so we can decorate them after. Once they're out of the oven, I'm going to show you my secret weapon, a Sharpie. This is how you will make an amazing butterfly with very little effort. I'm first just going around the entire outer edge with the Sharpie, making it black. Then I'm going on the inside and making a black border. Then it's just time to stare at a photo and try to copy a butterfly design onto it. Now, I ended up making my butterfly wings not even. I don't know how that happened, but I guess I'll blame it on my lack of template. But I do end up finding a way to make them even just by filling it in a little bit more with Sharpie, and then I can add them to the body now. So first we're just sticking the wing into the body to create an indent, and then I'm pouring out some liquid Sculpey and picking it up with a toothpick and just putting that onto the body and adding on the second wing. This is when I'm adding my antenna, so just poke your toothpick in the head and add your wings with a little bit more liquid Sculpey. Into the oven it goes, and your butterfly is now done. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know down below which one was your favorite or which one you want to see next. But other than that, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye!